Okie dokie, so I've been working on the chassis part of the Camry, and so what I did is put this angle bar on the top just so nothing moved, and I cut the core support off the bottom, which we don't need for the radiator. We've plated the bottom, the front and the top as well. I kept that whole bar there because that could come in handy for mounting something in front of the engine at some point, like the fuel tank, because the engine only comes out to about here or something, I think. Anyway, and we plated the top in case we want to do something with the top, like a harness bar or something like that. I think the front will come in handy, and definitely the bottom, because we'll be trying chassis rails into the bottom here, and then we might brace to the front as well. So that's all of that for the meantime. Howdy. So it's about 10:30 on Saturday night. I'm out in the workshop doing some welding, and check this out. Getting pretty good, if I do say so myself. I've pretty much only just been messing around with TIG for about a year now. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'll do a proper video later on, once I can get the RAV4 from out of there and show you what I'm doing with the framing. That'll be right now for you, but for me, it'll be later on. It's you again. So yeah, I told you it'd be right now, didn't I? In reality, it's probably been about 2 weeks, and I've just been banging out a few welds in the odd evening when I can get down here. And I'm wearing the same jacket. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Yeah, so let's have a look at what we've got up to. So here, there's a good bit of structure in the unibody here, where the subframe mounts to, and it did come down with sort of like a rail here, so I've cut that off, and I've used the bulk of it here, cut that whole section out there so I can get to everything, and I'll just plate it on the unibody right here, and try not to burn through it because I'm only using TIG at the moment, and then built the structure. At the moment this is not fixed because I'm pulling things in and out still, but it will be welded around here when I'm done, and the same on this side. And so that's our sort of inside support, and I'll show you more of that once I drop that thing down, the body down. Meanwhile, what else I've done is made up this little bracket here on the Camry chassis that sort of pinches the wheel arch here, and so that is 2 bits of sheet steel spot welded together, so it's reasonably thick. And I have tried it just with those 6 bolts, 3 on each side there as well, and there, and just that alone will lift the Camry chassis up and hold it in place. So basically that's all it's kind of for at the moment, is to just hold that in, but I will use it as some support probably later. I think most of the strength and structure will come from the steel frame that's in there, but this just helps keep everything in place. And probably once it's in there permanently, I will weld along the top of this to the inside of this, and maybe on the other side as well. Sorry, the other side as well. My aim is terrible. And that would just, really that's only just going to keep it from moving, because if this moves and shakes around, it's going to start opening up those holes, and then we've got a bunch of flex that we don't need. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's probably going to stay, and that's going to be our side support. As I say, all the strength is going to come from that probably, and we are going to work now on this. So I plated a couple of bits there just to sort of level this up, and I want to put this big steel bar there somewhere once I drop that frame down, and that's probably going to be something similar where it sort of bolts through in here. Now I'm probably going to have to cut the bottom of this out and shove a plate up there so we can bolt through, or something like that, just to give it strength. I haven't quite figured it out yet. Now we're working on things as we go, but that's probably the rear support to hold that, and I want to make that nice and chunky because I might have to bring something out off it. Weight's not really a big problem behind the engine. In fact, the further back we can get weight, the better. But you know, if I need to fix something, say wheelie bars or something onto that, then I've got some structure there to be able to do that. So yeah, we'll work on that. Meanwhile, I'll drop this down so we can have a better look at the framing that I've done inside. Alright, so the car's down. I've bolted it up either side, and I won't lie, it's a pain to line those bolts up and get those in. They're only finger tight at the moment, don't worry, but it's just to hold everything in place. As soon as I go welding or making another bracket or something, I've got to make sure that it's all where it's supposed to be, so that's what those brackets come in handy for. This is what I was talking about before, so this is where it mounts, that's the plate to the unibody, that's where that will weld. This is the structure down either side, and across the back it sits the rail that the Camry sits on. So that is going to be welded at some point, and then gusseted, probably angle plates up each side, and then a gusset from the top down on an angle, probably stopping about there somewhere, just like that. And then the back as as well, once I do this back part, and then the whole thing's got to come out, be finished welded, probably painted, and it'll all go back in as one. So this frame and the Camry frame will all be one, and I'll need a couple of people to probably help me get that in, because it's got to come and push up and in on an angle, and then level out, bolt together in the back and the sides there once I've done the back piece. And then all of this, that will weld, and we'll probably weld along here and along the floor as well. Still have to figure out a middle part, but what I'm probably going to do is, once all that's done, is cut the floor out completely. The floor at the moment is only holding everything together at this point in time, stop it twisting and whatnot. So once this is welded and in to the unibody, we don't need the floor anymore. So I might cut the floor out, might put another couple of bars in the middle, a bit more central, and then we can just lay a new floor over the top. That's what I'm thinking. There's a lot more work involved than when I first started thinking about it. You don't know until you start getting deep into it. But yeah, that's pretty much that. So you can see where that's going to fit in there actually quite beautifully. It's on a bit of an angle is the only problem. So we will fill that in as much as possible, but like I said, we're probably going to bracket from here and up. So we'll weld on this part as well, and then it's gusseted from here, because this is going to be the weakest, well, it's not the weakest part, but it's going to be the part that has the most load on it. Once it tries to wheelie like this is going to try and separate from this. So that gusset there is quite important, I think. And I don't know, maybe we'll figure out some more gussets. But yeah, that's where we're at for the moment. Rambling. I'm sorry, I'm always rambling, but you get the gist. So let's carry on. Alright, it's been another day. Yep, another whole day, still not doing wheelies. I know, disappointing, isn't it? I got this rear bar I was talking about in. It's just tacked for the moment. There's obviously a bit of a bow there, so underneath I have a, you can't really see, a bit of angle iron, and that just bolts through to there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is double layer sheet steel again. I will put a bracket plate or something on the back here when I've got some longer bolts, but that's just for now. Also, in these convenient little cubby holes there and there, put a bolt that goes straight through, and that goes actually into the box section. So I need to finish welding all of that. The other thing I did was I have tacked the front frame part to the rear Camry frame, and yeah, so that needs to be pulled out and finished welded as well. So for the meantime, all the bolts are holding it in. We're going to lift it up. The body and the frame and everything will come off. The subframe and the engine will stay on the ground. I need to get rid of that because it's in the way. It's a pain, and I don't need it for a while. It is going to need a clean as well because it's filthy, covered in grindings and all sorts of good stuff. That's great for the engine. So we'll clean all that up as well. And when I've got someone to help me, we're going to unbolt that, and the whole frame should tilt and then just slide out. It's going to be heavy though. I mean, just those two single pieces were heavy enough to move around by yourself. And we will put it on some axle stands or something over there. I'll finish welding it up, put the gussets in, whatever extra brackets and stuff I need, whatnot, sand it, paint it, and then we'll slip it back in. We might need more than 2 people for that. And yeah, then we can weld it into the car. And getting ahead of myself, but once that's done, we can actually look at starting to wire this thing up. And one other thing I do need to do still is actually the struts, but I think this will be a lot easier when the body's off. So what I plan to do is just make a bracket on here. I think I mentioned before it's going to be solid, so there'll just be a bracket basically that comes out here that these bolt into, hidden nicely up inside the wheel arch, static fitment. So when the body's back up in the air and we've got the chassis out and I'm finished welding it and gusseting it and whatnot, I think we'll at some point we'll drop the engine, we'll put the engine underneath it again, or put the frame back over the engine, and then we'll make those up. And I just have to make sure I measure 1,000,000 times and they're even on each side. And from there, the steering rack still. But I don't know, if that's solid mounted, I don't know that the steering rack's going to be an issue. I might just be able to leave it as it is. We'll test that theory out anyway, otherwise I'll go back to my original plan, which was to take the rack part itself out, leave the ends on, and just weld a piece of tube in there, or weld it to the subframe somehow. So I've still got some adjustment on either end, so I can do toe in, toe out, but it just won't move, because we don't want rear steering when we're doing wheelies, do we? No, we don't. Okay, bye. Okay, so that went as planned, which is great. It would be pretty shit if it didn't. So, yeah, that's what it kind of looks like with no engine. We braced in the back there, we braced on the sides. We tack welded here to the front frame. Man, I gotta say, it feels pretty damn solid. It feels pretty good. Yep, so much else to say, really. That's it for the moment. You can see that angle on now. And yeah, that's it. We'll move some shit around. Get rid of that go-kart so I can put the frame there. Get rid of the engine. Don't know where that's going to go. Need someone to help me. Come help me, please. Gone. Here we go again. So that is a new chassis. And like I said, just gotta finish weld it, gussets, whatnot, and get it ready to go back in for the last time. Right, here's a tip for you. If you get a fuel tank from China, make sure you clean it out before you use it. Yeah.